Page 664. Procrastination is the thief of time. Or fifth, defer not till tomorrow what you can do today. We often put off our duties in the hope of better days and better opportunities in the future. But it will not do to forget that every moment of our life on earth has its particular duty. Procrastination therefore means overburdening us, that is, making our task heavier and more difficult in future. Besides, who can say what this future will be, whether it will not be worse than the present? Some unforeseen obstacles may arise. We may be suddenly taken ill. There may be some family calamity, financial misfortune may fall upon us, and then we shall find that the task has become much harder, if not too hard. Moreover, if we once begin to put off things, it will soon grow into the habit of indolence, and will thus slowly bring about our own ruin. Sixth, united we can stand, divided we fall. Or seventh, union is strength. We all know the story of the farmer and his quarrelling sons. These sons could hardly break a single piece of stick. But when several sticks were made into a bundle, none of them could break it. The sons learnt the lesson that union is strength and gave up their quarrels. Unfortunately, we do not always apply this lesson to our personal lives. We quarrel without our relatives, which enable our enemies to ruin us all easily. If instead we remain united, nobody will dare do us any harm. In fact, it is the principle of union is strength that is the basis of nationhood. Men at first lived alone. In course of time, they formed themselves first into tribes and then into nations for greater strength and greater security. But a weak nation falls a prey to a stronger one. So the nations again combine themselves into blocks for still greater security. India has always suffered for want of unity among her people. There was no dearth of heroes at any time in this country, but they either quarrelled among themselves or remained aloof in each other's danger. This is why she should be easily conquered by one invader after another. It seems we have not learned the lesson yet as a nation. We quarrel among ourselves on questions of regional interests. Unless we give up these petty quarrels and unite with one another, the sad history of the past may be repeated. 8th, God helps those who help themselves. Or 9th, self-help is the best help. Everybody wants success, but not all achieve it. One of the reasons is that there are men who do not exert themselves, but depend on others. But self-interest is the best incentive to work. If this interest does not prompt us to do our own works for our own good, we cannot expect others to sacrifice their interest to bring that good to us. Moreover, a work done for others is not generally done so well as a work done by a person for himself. Besides, dependence on others destroys self-confidence and does not allow the faculties to develop. The result is that we fail in life. The lesson of the proverb is taught by the well-known story of Hercules and the carter. A cart got stuck up in mud. When the bullocks failed to drag it out, the carter prayed to Hercules for help. The god came, but instead of doing anything himself, he told the carter to put his shoulder to the wheel. This was done, and the cart moved on. Indeed, no god or goddess will come to our help if we do not help ourselves. Page 665. Rome was not built in a day. Rome was once the capital of the mightiest empire of the ancient world, but this mighty empire was not built up in a year or so. Generations of men had to work hard with patience and perseverance to raise its glory. Similarly is the case with all our undertakings on earth. Everybody desires greatness, but very few attain it. This is because most men do not have patience and perseverance to push on with their objects. They lose heart under the initial difficulties and give up altogether in despair. On the contrary, there are some who work on with firm determination in the face of all difficulties. They may fail once or twice or even repeatedly. Still they carry on bravely and firmly until success comes to them in the end. The well-known story of the Robert Bruce of Scotland and the spider proves the truth of this. Indeed, nothing great can be achieved without patient labor. 11th. Knowledge is power. The early man lived in constant fear of lions and tigers and such other beasts, much stronger than he. In course of time came knowledge, and the power it gave him enabled him to get mastery over these animals. As knowledge increased, his power also increased, and he has now become the lord of the creation. It has enabled him to use the forces and elements of nature for his own purpose. Even in the present age, when money seems to be the passion of life, men like Shakespeare and Rabindranath exercise greater power over the minds of men all over the world than any king or general. Indeed, the pen is mightier than the sword. The former builds up empires of the mind which are mightier and more lasting than the empires built up by the sword. The empires built up by the political conquerors of the old have passed away, but Buddha and Jesus built up greater empires that still go strong. In the political field too, we see that the countries that are advanced in knowledge are more powerful than those that are less advanced. 12th. Man is the architect of his own fate. Many think that the course of a man's life on earth is decided by fate, but this is a wrong idea. A man's future depends on his own self. If he wastes his time in idleness, or depends too much on others, or loses heart in the face of difficulties, he will fail in life. If, on the other hand, he makes proper use of his time and opportunities and follows his aim in life with patience and perseverance, success is sure to come to him. Even ordinary abilities will bring him success if he makes good use of them. In fact, history abounds in examples of men rising to greatness from an humble beginning merely by their own exertions. On the other hand, we often come across men endowed with abilities failing in life. This is because they did not make proper use of their time and opportunities, but waste them in idleness. Their abilities thus got rusted and were hence useless. So it is we that make or mar ourselves and not fate. Page 666. 13th. Failure are the pillars of success. Life is full of troubles and difficulties. We have to face and overcome them if we would succeed in life. We may fail once or twice or even repeatedly, but that should not damp our spirits and make us give up altogether in despair. We should instead try again and again with firm determination and patient perseverance. Success is then to come to us in the end. Failures are not really as bad as they are thought to be. They make us wiser and give us experience. We know from them the reasons of our failure. This makes our chance of success brighter in the next attempt. Failure also develops our latent powers and strengthens the mind. In this way, it becomes easier for us to achieve success in other matters too. 14th. Sweet are the uses of adversity. Adversity is regarded as a curse, but it has its uses also. When everything goes on well with us, we are tempted to take matters easy and fall into a life of comfort and idleness. But adversity prompts us to exert ourselves. This develops our latent powers, which enables us to prosper in life. It also enables us to know true friends from false ones, because the latter deserts us in adversity, and only the former stick to us. A man in adversity knows well how keen is the need for sympathy and kindness, because he is keen for them himself. So when he finds others in distress, he cannot but feel for them sincerely and help them to the best of his power. On the other hand, a man who has never tasted the bitterness of adversity does not know where the shoe pinches, and cannot therefore really feel for the distressed. Adversity is thus like a piece of sugar cane, which gives sweet juice only when squeezed or crushed. 15th. Slow and steady wins the race. We often see a person failed though he is intelligent and has abilities. We also sometimes see a person of average abilities succeed. The difference lies in the different ways in which the two persons set about their work. The failure of the intelligent and able man is due to his want of steadiness and perseverance. Perhaps he did not exert himself as much as required, thinking that his intelligence and abilities made it unnecessary, or perhaps he took up too many works at the same time, dividing his time and energies among them. The result was that he could not do any of his works well. The successful man of average merits, on the other hand, took up only one thing at a time and pursued it steadily with keen and undivided attention. It is this steadiness with undivided attention that brought him success. The well-known story of the hare and the tortoise should teach us the necessary lesson. 16th. The crown and glory of life is character. Men are often led to evil ways by their hankering after riches and earthly fame. They make these the chief objects of their lives and do not hesitate to adopt foul means to acquire them. They forget that the real wealth of man, his most precious treasure, is not riches or fame, it is character. Riches are uncertain things, and the fame that power gives or is won by foul means is as short-lived as the dewdrop. Pure character, on the other hand, not only makes a man immortal, but also wins the love and favor of God. Most of the religious teachers of the world lived and died poor and persecuted, yet they are respected and worshipped everywhere for the purity and nobility of their character. So, we should not allow anything to stain our character, whatever the sacrifice may be. 17th. A little learning is a dangerous thing. It is said of Newton that shortly before his death he remarked that he was like a child gathering pebbles on the seashore, while the vast ocean of truth lay unexplored before him. And this is from the mouth of one of the greatest scientists of all times. But it is just like what a really learned man feels. In fact, the more his knowledge increases, the more does he feel how little this knowledge is in comparison with what remains to be known. It is only a man of poor knowledge that boasts of his learning. The harm that it does is incalculable. We all know what great harm a quack doctor does to his patient. His treatment generally results in making the case worse, if not in death. A half-trained electrician or mechanic may cause great damage to the machines he handles, and may even lose his own life. We also see how heated young people become in a discussion. Even lose their own life. We also see how heated young people become in a discussion. Naturally, their knowledge is limited, but they think that they know enough. So they regard their own opinions as the best and cannot understand why others should differ. Page 667. 18th. A rolling stone gathers no moss. Moss gathers on a stone that is stationary, but not on one that is always on the move. Similarly, persons that are always changing from one occupation to another can never prosper. They simply waste their time and energy and get into habits of fickleness. Very soon they lose the power of serious application in anything. The result is failure in life. On the other hand, a person who sticks to one thing in spite of initial difficulties is sure to succeed in the end. He may fail once or twice or even repeatedly, but he continues in it and profits by the experience gained. His faculties also are developed and character strengthened. All these combine to bring him success in the end. And success in one thing gives him greater confidence and enables him to win success in other things also. Of course, we must think wisely before a work is taken up. Once the choice is made, we are to stick to it with patience, perseverance, and firm determination. 19th. A stitch in time saves 9. If a piece of cloth is torn, even slightly, it should be stitched at once. Otherwise, the tear will get wider and wider and may require 9, that is many, stitches to repair it. The tear may even get too wide for mending, and the cloth may become altogether useless. So the proverb teaches us to take prompt action against all ills at their earlier stage. This will save us from serious troubles in the future. When a person feels ill, he should take proper steps from the very first to control the illness. Otherwise, the illness may take an acute turn. What could have been cured with a few doses of medicine taken in time may end in death in spite of best but untimely medical help. The same is the case with the evil habit of man. It can easily be checked at the early stage. If neglected at this stage, it takes deep root and cannot be shaken off. So prompt steps should be taken whenever anything goes wrong is noticed. 20th. All that glitter is not gold. Gold is a bright yellow metal and very valuable. But there are many worthless things looking equally bright yellow. We should not therefore think that a thing is gold simply because it is bright yellow. So the proverb teaches us that we should not judge things by their outward appearances. A person may be well dressed and may look like a gentleman, but in reality he may be a cheat or a thief. In fact, wicked men generally cheat others in this way. We may come across people who may profess to be our sincere friends, but really they may be false friends and may leave us in our troubles or may lead us to ruins. Similar care is necessary in our judgment of things. Our dress may look very showy and costly, but in reality it may be a worthless thing. A food sweet to the taste may be injurious to health, so we should be careful against being misled by external appearances. 21st. We live in deeds, not in years. Or 22nd. One crowded hour of glorious life is worth an age without a name. A value of a life depends not on the number of years one may live, but upon the number of good deeds one may perform. A man may live to good old age, but of what use is this long life if he has not done any good deed? So far as the world is concerned, it is no life at all, and after his death nobody will miss him in any way. On the other hand, a man may die young, but if he has done something noble, his death will be deeply mourned by all, and he will be remembered by the world for long years to come. Thus, the names of Jesus Christ, Keats, Shelley, Vivekanand, Shankaracharya, etc. have become immortal, though they all died very young. So the main object of life should be not to live in years merely, but to fill it, however short, with good and noble deeds to the best of one's power and ability. Page 668. 23rd. Charity begins at home. The saying means that in helping others, we should begin with our relations and friends. Some think that this shows narrowness of mind, so they care more for persons outside their immediate circle and feel rather proud of their liberal spirit. But they are entirely wrong. It is the family that supported me in my childhood and youth. It is the friends around me who sustained me by sharing my joys and sorrows. If therefore I do not feel for them first before thinking of others, it proves an ungrateful heart. Moreover, how can a person who does not feel for his near ones feel sincerely for others? His generosity is mere show, a desire for praise, and nobody can have any respect for such a person. 24th. Make hay while the sun shines. Hay is grass cut and dried to be used as food for cattle and horses. Farmers have to turn it over and over again in the sun till it is dry. As the sunshine is rare in cold climate, a farmer has to be very prompt and active when it comes. If he misses one chance, there is no knowing when the sun will appear again. The grass may be spoilt altogether, and then he will be in great difficulty about food for his cattle and horse. The proverb thus means that we must not let any opportunity slip, but make prompt and full use of it whenever it comes. Our life is uncertain. Who knows what may happen to us even tomorrow? We may be quite hale and hearty today, but tomorrow we may be ill. So if we miss an opportunity today in expectation of making use of it tomorrow, we may not be able to avail ourselves to it at all. Moreover, opportunities do not always come. If we miss one opportunity, we may miss it forever and suffer in consequence. Therefore, we must always take full and prompt advantage of any opportunity that may come our way. 25th. A friend in need is a friend indeed. Or 26th. Prosperity brings friends, adversity tries them. Man cannot live alone. He wants persons with whom he can mix and converse freely, exchanging thoughts and ideas, hopes and fears. But everybody with whom we mix and converse is not a friend in the true sense of the terms. Some gather around us only on our prosperity for their self-interest, but whenever we are in trouble or difficulty, they desert us altogether. They are false friends and should be avoided by all means. The test of real friends come only in misfortune. We may be taking to evil ways. A true friend will then try his best to correct us. Strong in his power of love, he will not hesitate even to rebuke us as strongly as an elder brother. But when we get into actual misfortune by disregarding his advice and rebuke, he will not desert us. He will, on the contrary, freely give us his advice and sympathy, and will not consider any sacrifice too great to pull us out. Indeed, a true friend is a blessing of God. 27th. Look before you leap. The saying here is a warning against hasty action. Some people are impulsive by nature or overconfident of their abilities. No sooner does an idea occurs in their minds than they begin it without any thought about the way and means and the probable consequences. This is highly improper and results in failure and sufferings. A general, before he attacks the enemy, makes thorough inquiries about the strength and position of the latter and compares them with his own. Failure to do this is sure to result in defeat and may even end in disaster. Similarly, before we begin a house, we think carefully about the cost and about where the materials are to be got from. Even if we succeed in a work, this success will be worse than failure if it produces undesirable consequences. Far from finding joy in it, we shall regret it deeply. So before we act, we should carefully consider everything about the action. Page 669. 28. The child is father to the man. The saying means that if we observe a child carefully, we can guess what kind of man he will make in his future life. Man is born with some natural instincts and aptitudes. These instincts and aptitudes reveal themselves in childhood and are gradually developed with the growth of years. No doubt, education and surroundings have some influence on the direction of a man's life, but they do not alter much his natural bent. The young Gautam wept to see a bird hit by an arrow. Newton, as a boy, toyed with machines to begin to discover their secrets. The boy Napoleon played as soldier with his friends. Rabindranath began writing poems at the age of about 8, and we all know of what heights they all rose in their particular lines. So childhood shows the man as morning shows the day. This is why modern education lays great importance on close observation of a child's natural aptitude in order to direct it along proper lines. Page 669. 29. No risk, no gain. Or 30th. Nothing venture, nothing have. Nobody desires success in life, but few attain it. One of the principal reasons for this failure is that many people dare not take risks. Life is not a bed of roses. It is full of troubles and difficulties. They have to be overcome if we are to succeed in life. So we should face them with courage. We may fail at first and suffer in consequence, but that should not make us give up in despair. We should instead regard the initial failure and sufferings as the price of ultimate success. We should think of the daring discoverers and explorers of lands and the sufferings they have to bear before success comes to them. Where could we have got pearls from if divers had not ventured into the dangers under the sea? A general who is afraid of taking risks can never win any victory. Similarly, a person who dares not take risks cannot achieve success in the struggle of life. But we must not be rash or hasty. We should think well about the possibilities before we venture upon a thing. A hasty action is like taking a leap in the dark that generally ends in disaster. 31st. An idle brain is the devil's workshop. The brain of a man can never remain idle. So, if it is not occupied with fruitful thoughts, all sorts of mischievous and devilish ideas will crowd in to fill the vacancy. And this will turn the man to an agent of the devil, not only to his own ruin, but also to the danger of the society he belongs to. This is why unemployment is regarded as a curse, and every state considers its removal to be one of its principal duties. And this is also the reason why our educational expert thinks so much about how our young men may be kept away from undesirable activities. To suit their varied interests and varied energies, academic curriculum have been diversified. A wide varieties of hobbies, excursions, cultural functions, social service work, etc. have been introduced to direct and guide their extracurricular activities along fruitful channels. But the success of these attempts depends a good deal on the young men themselves. Unless they become conscious of the evil effects of idleness, all attempts to save them from Satan will go in vain. Page 670. 32. The pen is mightier than the sword. The proverb means that the writer exercises a great influence, wider and more enduring, on men and the world than a military conqueror. Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, Napoleon were among the greatest generals of the past, but the empires they built up extended only to a limited space in Europe and Asia. Even these limited empires passed away with their death, but books like the Gita, the Bible, the Quran, and poets like Shakespeare and Rabindranath have conquered the hearts of men all over the world, and their influence has not abated with the lapse of time. Let us take writers like Rousseau, Voltaire, Karl Marx, Tolstoy, and Gorky. Their writings inspired in making revolutions in France and Russia, and are influencing the thoughts and ideas of many other countries. All these prove that a great writer is more powerful than a great soldier.